In July of 2020, there was an article entitled Looming Crisis Over Water that appeared in National Geographic, the magazine. Already on record as saying there will be a war over water in your lifetime, today I'm going to take you to the most likely spot for such a war to begin. Okay, let's not get carried away. I didn't say there was a war, I just said there probably would be a war. We're talking about the Indus River, as seen on this map. The Indus is one of the longest rivers in Asia and also one of the most powerful in the world. Annually, it moves twice as much water as Africa's Nile. The Indus begins in the plateau of Tibet, which is part of China. From there, it flows through both India and Pakistan. From irrigation for crops to drinking water to water used for cooking and bathing, it is estimated that around 270 million people rely on the Indus to stay alive. This population of people that rely on the Indus for life is equal to the total number of people found in England, Germany, France, and Italy combined. And all 270 million need the Indus to survive. Many rivers in Asia get their water from rainfall during the monsoon season. The Indus is different. It gets its water from glacial ice and snowfall in the Himalaya. Geographers call glaciers water towers because they store water high in the mountains and release it during the snowmelt of spring and summer. Of all the water towers on Earth, experts believe those in the Himalaya, the ones feeding the Indus River, are the most critical or most endangered. With climate changing, the glaciers of the Himalaya are melting and not being replenished at the same rate as normal. This means the Indus River is losing water each year. Experts believe that by 2050, the Indus will reach peak water phase and then will begin to dry up and eventually disappear if nothing changes. Glaciers move naturally as they accumulate ice, but in the case of the Himalaya, glaciers are beginning to slide like a child sledding downhill. The glacier pictured here was moving 1 foot a day. This is an incredibly fast rate for a glacier to move. Recently, geographers studied a glacier in northern Pakistan that was moving at 120 feet per day. Experts believe this rapid movement was a result of the glacier losing mass to climate change, and this loss of ice caused the glacier to break free and begin sliding down the mountain. In one part of Pakistan, a village surrounded by 3 glaciers, known as the Three Dragons, saw a hotel, government office, and an entire orchard of trees washed away when meltwater burst through the rock and rubble, and ice causing massive flooding. Underground water supplies are called aquifers. We use aquifers every day to draw the water we need for our lives here in the United States. The aquifer under Karachi, Pakistan, the largest city in Pakistan, has dried up, and now the city relies upon water from a lake that is 60 miles away. This brings us to war. Calm down, it's not a real war yet. War over water in this region hasn't happened yet, but I believe it will. India, Pakistan, and China all use the Indus River. All 3 nations have growing populations, with India and China already boasting the 2 largest populations on Earth. Growing populations mean growing demand for water. These nations already have a history of conflict over unclaimed regions in the Himalaya, with India and Pakistan already having fought a bloody war in the past. Perhaps scariest of all, China has the world's largest army, and all 3 of these nations possess nuclear weapons. In 2006, China built a dam near the beginning of the Indus River, and they did this without notifying India or Pakistan. Because dams can regulate and even stop the flow of water, by building this dam, China assumed control over the entire run of the Indus River. This move has the potential to impact the 270 million people who live below the dam and need the water. So what happens when the Indus goes dry? What happens with 270 million people suddenly find themselves without water? What will those countries do? What lengths will they go to in order to make sure their people survive? Will it be war? Oh my gosh, guys, can we stop with the war memes already? To this point, India and Pakistan have already entered into an agreement on who controls which rivers when those rivers cross from one border to another. But for the Indus, a waterway already drying up thanks to climate change, and for the 270 million people who rely upon it for life, the future remains incredibly unclear.